Welcome everybody to another edition of the Dad at Arms channel. I'm your host, Dad at Arms. I also go by Colt. And with me today is my friend Barry from Factory Entertainment, who is joining me again. How's it going, Barry?
Good. How you doing? Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm always very happy to talk with you because I think we have a shared affinity for weapons and swords and all that good stuff.
We're both as crazy as each other.
Exactly. Before we jump into it, the last time we talked, I had mentioned how when I was a teenager, my brother and I used to make weapons on the farm. I rounded up a bunch of them that I can find. I was going to show you some. So first of all, I've got the beautiful Havoc staff here in the background.
Look at that. It's even too big for the camera, yeah?
It is too big, but I love it.
We had an interesting experience when we worked out how big to make that thing, because we sat around working out the theoretical size of Skeletor, and there is an official height.
He's like 6 feet tall.
Yeah, and then you're like, I have a very strange job that I'm working out the height of fantasy characters.
And it's so funny because the official height, like He-Man is like 7 feet tall.
It was 6'3" or 6'7", I forget.
Yeah.
It's the prop story booklet, and they're all a little random. And then the more of the cartoon you watch, you see that the things change size all the time.
Right.
I mean, that's the hand animation. The Havoc staff goes from being kind of what looks like 4 feet long to this thing that's
it's just massive.
Magic, right?
And I always thought it was funny because when Revelation first came out, people were complaining about Prince Adam being too small. And it's like, well, he comes up to Skeletor's eye socket.
Yeah.
Adam is 6 foot.
Yeah.
Easily.
It's when he changes into He-Man, it gets taller. It's the lifts and the shoes. Yeah.
Exactly.
What? Look at that.
So this is probably the best one I made. This one's all painted. And it used to have a leather wrapped handle, but it's kind of come apart over the years.
Those are awesome. And you went at each other with these things?
Oh, yeah. So I've got scars all over my hands.
Pay attention, kids. We do not suggest you go at each other with swords. Let me make that clear.
Definitely not. We made this war pit.
We're adults. We know what we're doing. Wow.
And this is just made out of an old farm beat link.
I'm trying really hard not to swear with excitement here.
So that's a lot of fun.
Well, come the zombie apocalypse, I know whose farm I'm turning up at.
Yeah, there you go. This is one of the first swords we made. And this, we just used a cutter, a torch to cut out the shape of the sword.
And you were how old?
We're 15.
Wow. I take my hat off that I'm not wearing to you. Those are brilliant. I got thrown out of school for doing that.
And then here's my favorite one that we did.
Man, I love the industrial, like this is steampunk before steampunk existed. You should get royalties.
I should. And I mean, look at the nicks in that blade.
Look at that. If you've ever been to a museum and looked at like a real sword that wasn't, because this is one of the things that most people, maybe some people know, swords for a lot of people were purely decorative. They never saw battle. The ones that did don't survive, or few of them do. But if you see a sword they look just like that. The edges are all nicked and dinged, and that's like a sign of a life well lived. Because if you're swinging steel against steel, it doesn't tend to leave a perfect edge.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
And you had to have it ground down every time. But those are, I mean, I was thinking, my brother and I maybe got some 2x4s and some bit, but that's next level right there, man. I'm gonna have to sit up and pay attention now. I'm in the presence of a swordsmith.
We had a lot of fun, and I remember during the pandemic, I watched a lot of that Forged in Fire show.
I love that show.
And that, I mean, just fascinating. I love that process. So obviously, I'm over the moon to talk to you about this stuff. Because it's all He-Man.
One sword when I was in high school in the metal shop, and I had a very understanding metal shop teacher who immediately, once the sword was finished, realized what he'd done was probably not a good idea. Because the principal headmaster in the UK was like, we can't have that because all the other kids are going to want to make one. And I was like, damn it. And So I don't actually know what happened to it, but it was nowhere near as good as those. I love the
Oh, thank
bolts
you.
and those are fantastic. I tell any production designers watching should be stealing your designs and paying you a royalty.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. A lot of trips to the emergency room. We had to get
Character building.
exactly. That's what we always said. We broke out the window of a pickup once. It's a miracle that we both survived into adulthood.
And that your parents' blood pressure wasn't like, triple digit PSI.
Exactly.
I love it.
So let's jump into it. What have you been working on lately that you can talk about?
We're a couple of years into this now, and like I said, I'm still kind of pinching myself that I'm the guy that gets to make officially licensed MOTU swords. It's kind of a dream come true. But we have found that like swords are the popular one. The Havoc staff did very well. Some of the other things, Man at Arms mace, sadly, is not doing great because
bummer.
No love for Man at Arms, but no love for Duncan. But it'll pick up, I think. It's a fun piece, and it's a bludgeon. I mean,
it looks like
a serious bit of metal. But swords are where it's at, and we did a couple of shows, and we were starting to get lots of inquiries. We asked people, tell us what you want, and so everybody's probably seen it. She-Ra was the next one, so this is the production piece.
Gorgeous.
I was genuinely surprised at the love for She-Ra. The amount of people who dress up of both genders, interestingly.
Right.
But this one is doing really, really well. We're only making a very small quantity of these, and by the time this airs, we will be close to selling out of these. And we're finding that might be the best way to go. Short runs, faster sellouts, move on to the next thing.
Okay.
The fun thing about the She-Ra sword is the design will be very familiar to people because short of this little thing, and this was the hardest part of the sword, trying to find. You can't get real stones in this size. You can, but they cost a fortune. It would be hundreds and hundreds of dollars cost before we put it into the thing. So we had to create a fake sort of protection stone, and it's got the three-dimensionality to it. And we've actually had them handmade. No two are the same. They're resin. Like a glass. It's sort of the technique that they use for making up in the 70s. They used to make glass paperweights. Your grandma probably had one.
Like those, the grapes, the resin grapes.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah.
So that while we're sitting there doing She-Ra sword, and we've launched it, and it's on pre-order now, and it's doing very well. There'd always been a little confusion. There are many power swords, lots of them. And we've done one, and it's close to selling out. We did a pretty large edition. We were surprised that there was enough to go around. 1,000 pieces is quite a lot, but we are on the last legs of that. It's not sold out yet. But here, for the first time, for a reveal, nobody outside of Mattel or here has seen this. Is going to be the next power sword,
and it's the cartoon sword.
You said it, not me. Now, here's a really weird thing. I am not allowed to call it that.
Okay.
This is a sword inspired by animation.
And
I won't get into, and here's the Mattel lawyers probably running to my door with a big pile of paper. There are issues. Anybody who's delved into this knows it's kind of problematic, and ownership rights over various things. So as far as we're concerned, this is inspired by the animation, but yes, we just can't use the F word.
Right. And I almost said it, but I was like, no, I better be careful.
So it is identical without the sword, but I have to admit, the one that everybody wants, they asked for. It has been difficult to come up with. It's a family show, so we have to be really careful about how we talk about He-Man's balls. But these are really bizarre because in the animation, they change from quite obvious, almost tennis balls, sometimes semi-flat, sometimes. So we've tried to stylize them in a way that they are ball-esque. Ballish, is that the right word? But yes, it now does give you the animated style power sword, which will be coming soon. That's as more as I can tell you at the moment. It's in approvals at the moment. We're trying to go with handle, for example, is a question. Brown leather or grey leather? There's no leather in the product.
Right.
I'm thinking grey, but these are little details that we have to go through with the fine folks at Mattel and make sure that they're happy with it. But what it'll mean is you will be able to have a twin set of the two brother and sister or cousin swords.
Very
that
cool.
was fun. And then what we want to know is which one do people want next after that? Yes. Which power sword? My money's on the Dolph Lundgren movie version. That's the one I want to do.
That would be cool.
But we will take callers and anybody's opinions.
So I've got a few suggestions that I've been thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Alcala inspired sword from the mini comics.
Yep.
I know that's a fan favorite. As far as She-Ra is concerned, there's the toy accurate
gold one.
The gold sword.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond there's the Skeletor bone sword, which would be amazing.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
And then beyond that, I know you have the mini versions of Teela's staff. Is there any plan to make a life-size version of that?
I would like to. I do need some of the other stuff to sell through a little bit better first. So we did listen too many things too fast. We will spread them out. So yes, on the Teela staff, and what we may do, because it's what we've done with the swords, we may bring them out in the scaled small version first to gauge interest.
Gotcha.
Because there's a significant investment in a big sword. It's significantly expensive, and you have a lot of, I think people, it's not difficult, but they are handmade. These things are blacksmith forged. There's sand casting, and they're done in India, which is the workmanship in India is amazing, and it is not far removed. There is equipment in the Indian factory that is it's hilarious. They bought it all. A lot of it came from the United States in the like 70s and 80s, but it's lathes and machinery that go back to the 40s, and these things are amazing. And you can't. Wow. They don't make them anymore. They're not required for any kind of, like, it's heavy engineering. Is that the right word? I mean, it's all become obsolete, except for making something like a sword. So I find it fascinating that my Indian factory are using I think it's Pratt and Whitney, the jet engine people.
Wow. They're
using a lathe that this thing is, I mean, if you're into machinery, and I know you are, you stand there, look at this thing and go, that's proper machinery. you could turn it, so it's significantly expensive to get these things set up, bring in, hundreds of them. The boxes for these things, I've got one to hand, but they're big. I mean, you're filling up containers of stuff. So what we don't want to do is bring in huge volumes of stuff that sits around for 2 years, because it's just impractical. But yes, all of the above are viable. I'd love to do them all, hopefully.
Okay.
By the power of Grayskull, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. But we're also going in another direction. The other way we're going is, we have heard, these things are expensive, and they're not for the faint of heart. They're an investment piece as far as we're concerned. But we're trying to do something that's a little more entry level. So you got this, which is our power sword, but this is foam.
I love it.
So you can wail on your brother.
Yes.
Let me rephrase that for the lawyers watching. You absolutely should not wail on your brother. Do not listen to the silly Englishman.
I can wail on my brother with it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Nobody else can.
And there may be a certain theme park or two opening soon, and maybe. I mean, maybe. But they're dense PE foam, but there's a really cool technique. So you can screw this thing up, but it springs right back, and you can see it actually looks, if you didn't know what it was, it kind of looks metallic from a distance.
Yeah.
It weighs nothing, and it's safe-ish.
Awesome.
In the hands of responsible adults. It doesn't even have a sharp tip. You can stab through there. It won't stab you. People have probably seen these in the Halloween stores and stuff like that. So again, please don't inundate us with, where can I buy it? You can't. This is the only one that exists in the world at the moment. And straight after this is wending its way to Mattel, so they can, hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody cross your fingers, approve this. And this will then allow us to potentially look at some of the other weapons that just don't make sense in steel. I want to do He-Man's double-headed battle axe.
Yeah,
but the
that was going to be my next question. There's the two versions of the axe.
The wood, we had a prototype made in wood, and the wood alone is you could herniate yourself if you lift it. It's massive. It's just, I mean, I think there's probably you, me, and about 4 other crazy people who would buy it. But the foam one, these will be significantly cheaper. You're talking sub $100 for sure, but ideally we're trying to get that. And again, please don't quote me on this, but we're trying to get that in the $60-$70 range.
Okay.
And it's slightly shorter. And the reason we've made it slightly shorter is so you can actually put it off your back without having arms like a chimpanzee, because you can't do that with the real one. I'm 6'2", and I can get it to about there, and then I'm like, this one I can wield perfectly.
Or else you'd have to do the where you pull it out so far, and then you have to readjust.
Yeah. If only we all had arms like an orangutan, it would be fine.
Exactly. Oh, that is so cool. That's exciting.
So that's where we're going with it. But we do really love the fact that MOTU has this fandom. People send me emails all the time. Please keep it up. I do listen. I do read them all. I can't always reply to them all. But if anybody's got, I want to see this, I want to see that, please send them my way, because I'll absolutely read them. And might be a year before I do anything about them. Might never do anything about them, but they will be read and they are listened to. And we do want to know what people want and what they're into, because we're just people who like this stuff too, and we hope there are equally good numbers of like-minded people out there too. And it seems there are. Which is good.
Very cool. Another thought I had is there's the He-Man sword from the 2000 series. Is that a viable option?
That one's pretty. Yes, we can do everything. The entire MOTU universe is open to us right from the very beginning through to. It's just some of the things we may have to name them, but that one's okay. Actually, that one's fine. It's the earlier stuff. Mini comics is a problem too. They have to be referred to as inspired by the comics, but we can't refer to them specifically. And then there's some publishing. It's just complicated and too many deals that need to be fixed years ago that never got fixed. And honestly, there's no point in any lawyers sitting around discussing them, because just it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
In terms of She-Ra herself, there was the reboot in 2018 where the sword looks different. Is that one that you can work on?
We can do anything. We did originally look at doing because you held up the little gold toy, that there was the one prior to that had the weird hexag. It's
like a starburst or something.
I think that was the original, which I don't quote me on this, and there's going to be angry email. I'm pretty sure it looked to me like that wasn't supposed to be a sword. It was supposed to be something else, and then they quickly retconned it into a sword. It doesn't look like a sword. Well, but then you've got the He-Man sci-fi one with the gold. The one that looks, it's a lightsaber, but not a lightsaber. Please don't sue us, Disney. Yeah, that one.
It's a laser knife. A big laser knife.
Big laser knife. It's for carving very large turkeys.
Yes.
But yeah, we can theoretically do anything. The only gating factor is the number of customers, and it would appear we've been able to squeeze down some of the edition sizes, because the problem we have is a lot of these factories don't want to do very small runs. It's just not worth, by the time they train their staff and things like packaging, it's very difficult to buy less than 500, 600 boxes, and it breaks our heart, and we just won't do it because it's not ethical. It would be cheaper for me to buy 2,000 cardboard boxes, use half of them and throw the rest away, but we've already destroyed enough trees. We don't need to do anymore.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. It's neat to hear that you've got options, as long as there's, like you said, as long as there's interest.
Yeah, people keep buying it, we'll keep making it. That's pretty much, we don't ever go away. We're very annoyingly consistent.
With the first He-Man sword you did, there was also the Skeletor version.
Yes.
That was purple.
Yep.
With this inspired sword that you showed, is there the option of doing a purple version?
Yeah, there is. Yep. And we're actually talking to various retailers about potential exclusives too. So watch this space. That'll probably be 2025. But yes, Skeletor and I guess it's kind of obvious, but Skeletor and He-Man are the two. All the other characters are great, but the 80% of the interest is in those two characters. That's some very top of the head math, but that from the feedback we're receiving, that seems to be it. And I think it's no shock. I mean, they're the protagonist and the hero. It's but that doesn't mean Teela's staff, and it's really, I wish I had one here. The small one is great, but all the detail is lost. It's got beautiful individual snakeskin carving, so at full size that thing would look absolutely fantastic. Gorgeous. So I do want to do it.
She's got a cool sword too from the 2000 series. She's got a cool sword. The classics. The sorceress has that. Is it staff? Yeah, it's kind of a staff. With the falcon. The falcon. It's
very
staff.
Egyptian, very kind of Egyptian-esque. We're going. We did also do Thundercats. We're allowed to mention that here. Thundercat swords did very well. The Mumra helmet has done appallingly, really sadly, because I love that piece, and I worked with a couple of fans on it, and in person it's beautiful, but it's just not doing it for people. So we're probably not going to do. A couple of people asked us about headdresses and helmets, and we'll probably stay out of that for the immediate future, just because we've had no success with another brand, and that isn't always conducive. People will be like, well, that's not fair, you're punishing, but again, this is how we pay our mortgage and feed our kids. So I've only got so many dollars, and my boss is very understanding, and he lets me make a lot of crazy things because he is not a MOTU fan. But he's letting me run with the money for the moment. So
very cool.
We're happy with the way it's going. We're really appreciative of the support and the fans, and I tell you, I love it. The amount of times I see pictures, I'm browsing through Facebook, and someone will have a picture of their sword up on their wall or their staff, or the other day a guy posted a picture of a cosplay and he was holding the Skeletor staff, and it just, you make this sentimental old fool very happy when you see that. Everybody out there, thank you. I appreciate it.
So keep posting those pictures.
Absolutely, please. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. My pleasure. And we'll talk in the future.
Anytime.
Awesome. All right. So for people out there who want to know how to follow you, how can they find you?
Through the website, factoryent.com, or on social media, it's Factory Entertainment or Factory Ent as well. You'll find us. We're out there.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.